People. Que pasa, sapa, say what they do. The first thing that is popping in the news, it is called Another One Bites the Dust. And I am speaking about a young man. His name is Andre Heinz. Mr. Heinz OC is Bonnie. However, people, it seems as if he hopped out of the real life and he is now in the afterlife. Now, people, if you look at your screen, this is Mr. Heinz picture right here. If you notice, he looks like a CRACK version of Mr. Vegas. However, people, he looks even worse in the pictures that I have when he was lying on the ground with his mouth wide open, with all sorts of red a pour out of the back of his head, out of his eye, out of his mouth. He was taken to the place of recovery. However, people, they should have called the coroner. They should not have called the paramedics because he was not going to make it. He was out of here. Now, people, this is Mr. Heinz's picture right here when he was wanted. And people like them say, what a difference a couple of days make or a couple of months make. However, the truth and the fact is that Mr. Heinz, he has been avoiding, evading, keeping away, taking away himself from the popo and law enforcement for the longest time. I will speak about his criminal history as I go further in this video. Now, people, based on the information, it is said that there was a covert security operation in a place called Bluefields, up in some bush place of a place that is called Aldair. Don't know if I am pronouncing it. However, the message is still the same. Based on information, it is said that the Popo, JCF, JDF, they was on the trails of this man and people. This man dibble and dabble in everything. I am speaking about shooting. I am speaking about taking away people. I am speaking about extortion. Everything in the book, the only thing that his name was not mentioned on is any sorts of scamming activity. However, people, in actuality, he was scamming and suspecting his ops, meaning the other side of their life. Based on information, it is said that this man is from a place called Hudson Street. And if you know the history of Westmoreland, we know that there's a next place called Russia and Hudson Street. There is where most of the gang activity, there is where most of the bad name that Westmoreland has been getting because of this two section that has been going back and forth at it. And like me say, Hudson Street, Russia. Not the Russia as it pertains to the KGB. However, they have a whole bunch of AK-47 and other type of assault artilleries such as those. Now, people, these persons are from a place called Russia, Hudson Street, that vicinity. Russia and Hudson Street, them a play tit for tat. You take away one of ours, we'll take away one of yours. So therefore, it is only fitting that the Popo recovered this type of rifle. It is called a AK-47. 2 magazines and also a couple of rounds. I am speaking about the tall piece, them, the ones that goes in your head and then basically take off your head, point blank and period. Now, based on information from the Popo, it is said that when the Popo roll up on the spot, they were confronted by Mr. Andre Heinz, OC Bonnie, and also his cronies. The next crony, his name is Devon Barrett, OC aka Santa. His next crony, Moses Ramsey, OC aka Moses. Now, people, I guess what they say is probably not true. Every day is not Christmas. However, for Santa it was Christmas because after the smoke cleared, he was gone. The next person, Moses, I guess he was lucky he did not become a part of the Red Sea meaning that the Popo never left him in a pool of his own red, BLOODOCAKA. So people, based on information from the Popo, it is said that when the joint military covert operation approached these men, them start to blaze up all sorts of con upon the people them. After the smoke clear, Mr. Heinz was the unfortunate one. The next two, Moses and Santa, them take with themselves, live to see a next day. However, the Popo said that, listen, Mr. Moses, Mr. Santa, we've been looking for you for the longest time. We know that you are a set of murderers. We know that you are a set of robbers. You are involved, you dibble and dabble in everything as it pertains to criminality. We are giving you an ultimatum. High noon, 12 midday on the 14th of February 2022. Don't get the date twisted this year. Show up at the Popo station with your lawyer, with your mother, with your father, with a JP, with somebody. Do something before something do you. And people, that is a serious warning. Your friend, Mr. Bunny, Mr. Andre Heinz, he was getting the warning. However, he thought that it was a joke until he got taken out in some GUN smoke. Watch the rhyme. Now people, like I said, Hudson Street and Russia, they have been creating chaos and catastrophe for the longest time. And the most wanted man, I am speaking about Mr. Heinz. He has been wanted for years. Like I said, shooting with intent, illegal possession of firepiece, ammunition, extortion, robbery, you name it, he was a part of it. He dibbled and dabbled in everything that he could find or put his hand on. Kleptomaniac, if you understand. So people, at the end of the day, he lost his life. At the end of the day, he was no saint. At the end of the day, like them say, every day the bucket goes to the well, one day the bottom was going to fall out. And people, for Mr. Heinz, the bottom, everything fall out. The whole I'm head, the whole I'm marrow, it basically outside of his head, point blank and period. So people, at the end of the day, this only shows you there's a thing that is called karma. There's a thing that is called every dog has its day. And one day your number is going to call. And when your number calls, if you answer and act wrong or say the wrong thing, you are going to lose your life. And in the case of Mr. Heinz, that was the case. If you understand the case of the man that did not make it. Now people, I have to ask the question, why is it that these criminals feel as if they can create all sorts of chaos and catastrophe? Jamaica is a small place. Westmoreland is even smaller. Mr. Heinz and his cronies' name have been calling up for the longest while. And people like me say, Jamaica, the Popo, the JCF, the JDF, they have their hands full. So therefore, sometimes a whole bunch of robberies. However, when you start take away people's life, and in the case of Mr. Heinz, it is said that Mr. Heinz was wanted for at least 7 takeaway, 7 different occasions, 7 different lives this man took away. This man has been in all sorts of confrontation with all sorts of people, all sorts of gang, as it pertains to Hudson Street and Russia. He was the eliminator. He was the terminator. He was a name that was being called up, and every time somebody lose them life, every time somebody get robbed, every time somebody get extorted or some sort of business, and people, we've seen that the other day in Westmoreland, an innocent business lady that has some sort of wholesale that sell all sorts of J-Ray and Neville. She was taken out, and their customer was also taken out. Now people, it is said that the persons that were the suspect in that was the 2 youth or the 3 youth that basically take away those couple, those Chinese couple at that supermarket, Jojo supermarket in St. Elizabeth. However people, when your name a call, when your name a ring like bell, anything happen, you are going to get the blame because you are numero uno menace to society. So therefore, why would he be surprised? Now people, this is the thing. Like I said, these men are from Hudson Street. Hudson Street and Russia have been going back and forth at it. Hudson Street is now presently under a state of emergency, zone of special operation, ZOZO as it is called. So therefore what these men did, to avoid the pow dragnet, them take with themselves up in a blue fields all there, up in a some bush place. So people, let me ask you a question now. When you as a wanted man create all sorts of chaos and catastrophe, then you have to take with yourself. You have to hide in a all sorts of bush, in a all sorts of terrain, to avoid the pow, to avoid the JDF, the JCF. With a whole bunch of man, what type of life is this? At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, is it all worth it? The pros and the cons. Does the pros far exceed the cons? Because the truth and the fact is that when you live a lifestyle like that, unless of course you get some sort of divine intervention, of course if you change your life and basically turning yourself to the pow, you might have different result. However, for the most part, it is only going to lead to two places. Destination doom, may I talk about the prison or even the graveyard. So people, these people take with themselves and they went in a some bush terrain named Aldear up near the bushes of blue fields so that they could have an advantage of the pow. They could have seen the pow coming. However, people, on the day that the pow, the JDF covert operation came, they did not see it coming. So therefore, Mr. Heinz, he got what he deserved. However, if the other two, may I talk about Santa and Moses, know what I know or know what the pow plan, them keying themselves. Because when it comes, they are never going to see it coming. However, it is going to be there at their doorstep, knocking. And when we talk about knocking, may I talk about knockings. All sorts of pow assault rifle, JDF, JCF, covert operation. It is written in stone. And the people them tell you before, like some sort of cowboy movie, make sure say, on the 14th of February, midday, high noon, as in Western, you show up with your lawyer, with the JP, with your mother, with your papa, somebody, or else you are going to face the same destination like your friend, destination doom, point blank and period. So anyways, people, that is my views on the whole thing as it pertains to that. And like me say, it is just my views and opinion. It is not the gospel. Your views and opinion can be respectfully different from mine. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Bless up.